I'm here today with Denise Goosby. Denise is the author of a new book called Thank You, Daddy, a tribute to my girl dad and girl daddies everywhere. Denise was born and raised in Compton, California, a preacher's daughter coming to faith later in life. Her childhood love of writing led her to earn an English degree from Mount St. Mary's University and a master's degree in print journalism from the University of Southern California. After working as a newspaper reporter, Denise began a career as an educator in public and private schools for 2 decades. In 2018, she founded Healing Song Ministry to serve seniors, veterans, and the hurting in South Los Angeles County with music therapy for the heart and soul. She also writes and sings on her blog, Denise's Healing Journey, and offers speaking and singing engagements. Denise enjoys spending time with friends, visiting museums and cultural sites, and cheering for her world champion childhood heroes, the Los Angeles Dodgers and Los Angeles Lakers. She's single and lives near Los Angeles in beautiful sunny Southern California. You can learn more at denisegoosby.com. That's DeniseGoosby.com. So Denise, welcome and congratulations on the new book.
Well, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Denise is one of the alums from Publishing in Color, and she's always great to see her and learn about her accomplishments. So, but maybe before we get into the book, you could tell folks a little bit more about your background?
Well, yes, as you mentioned, I am a preacher's daughter, but I did not come to faith until I was in my 30s. But when I did, it was like a light bulb turned on, and I was just full force for God, and just wanted to do all kinds of ministries, children, missions. Actually, my first mission trip was to Moscow, Russia, of all places.
Wow.
So you can imagine how I feel right now with everything going on with Ukraine. It's a lot of mixed emotions and a lot of heartache for the people in both countries there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you told me before that you feel your writing is a calling. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about how you see it that way?
Well, it's definitely a calling. I feel that I'm not only here just to, share my gifts, but I'm truly here to proclaim God and to proclaim people and to encourage them. And yeah, just to be that voice for people who may not have a voice or who are hurting or who just don't have the confidence to share
Hmm.
and just to give them motivation and inspiration and encouragement.
Well, good for you. I mean, pain is so big out there these days, right? And it's like,
We
whatever we
need
can
we
do
need
to help
hope.
people.
Yeah, we need hope right now so badly. So when you have hope, you have the power to do anything. Without it, you have no power.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So, before we get into the new book, can you tell people a little bit about the previous ones you've written?
Yes, the first book that I wrote was actually I wrote an article for an anthology called She Writes for Him, Stories of Living Hope.
Right. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that. I remember it.
And it's a wonderful book. It's 30 authors who are sharing their experiences with various themes and topics such as addiction, recovering from cancer, abuse. My particular article was called My Mother's Daughter, and it focused on growing up with a mother with mental health issues.
Mm.
So I dealt with that.
Hmm. Wow. So let's talk about the new book. As I mentioned, it's Thank You, Daddy, a tribute to my girl dad and girl daddies everywhere. So
Yeah.
can you tell us what motivated you to write that?
Well, actually, what motivated me was two things. One was just to honor my dad, L.C. Goosby, and to honor the love that he gave me and gave our family. And the second one was that I had just finished writing my second solo book, which was Scarred Like Him, Seeing the Beauty in the Life You Live. And literally, after I finished it, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to write anything because it was a very emotional book. It was, part memoir, part devotional. And I was just spent. It took 3 or 4 months to do it. And I didn't see writing for a while, but I felt like God was saying, no, don't stop. Keep the momentum going. You can do this.
Hmm.
So I finished that book on a Monday. And then by Friday, I was writing Thank You, Daddy, and I pretty much finished it by Monday. So I did it over a
Wow.
weekend.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many books get written that quickly?
Yes.
So why do you feel like the book is needed right now?
Well, I feel it's needed right now because one, it shows the love between a father and a daughter. And frankly, sometimes we don't always see that. We hear things in the news that hurt us, that bring fear, that just doesn't show that love between parents and their children. And it's also a story of an African American father and his daughter, and we
Mhm.
truly lack stories about that. Stories that show that gentleness, that faithfulness that African American fathers don't always get credit for. So
Mhm.
I believe it's definitely needed right now.
So, what would you say the goal of the book is?
The goal of the book is to show the love and faithfulness that a dad has for his daughter, and to show that a good girl daddy is nothing that is quote unquote spectacular. It's just loving your child for who they are. It's being your authentic self. It's doing the simple things. Like, in the book, it talks about how my dad would take me fishing with him, or we would stand in our front yard and water the lawn and look at the rainbows that the water would make, or going to the carnival together, or my dad telling me stories about when he was in Korea because he fought in Korea.
Mm,
So, served in Korea. So, things like that. It's the simple things truly that show our love for one another.
hmm. Very nice. Very nice. Who
Mhm.
would you say the kind of audience reader target is for the book?
I believe it's younger parents, who want to establish a bond with their children as they read to them.
Mm,
I think it's also older daughters who want to honor their dads, and they give the book, as kind of like a keepsake. So, and it's teachers who can show children how love is shown in age appropriate ways, in different ways. So yeah, there's a diverse audience for it.
well, I can see how those different sets of folks would really be
Mhm.
attracted by it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Um, Now, you've obviously written for both children and for adults.
Yes.
Uh, can you talk a little bit about what the difference is and how you do that?
Well, I tell you, I have so much more respect. Not that I didn't have respect, but I have so much more respect for children writers because it is no simple thing, because you want to capture that wonder, you want to make them laugh, you want to show the gentleness and everything, but you have to do it in a way that they understand. And so you have to be very careful with your words, and you only have a certain number of words too. Like my nonfiction book, I had 42,000 words, but with the children's book, I think maybe 1,300, and even that was kind of pushing it.
That's still a lot, yeah.
That's still a lot, but I wanted to get, not only those stories in there, but also the history, because there's African American history in it. And so that's why I took a little bit more liberty with the words, but definitely, yeah, it definitely taxes you. The other book, once I got started, I felt like the words just flowed more. You know what I'm saying? And it's coming out of me. This, I had to also reach back into my memory as a child, as a woman in my 50s. But yeah, I mean, it's good, but they're different at the same time.
hmm hmm What about illustrations? How did that happen?
Illustrations, the illustrator, his name is Ken Wangan, and he did a beautiful job of just doing the pictures, basically with the story, and also sharing the drafts that he did of the different pictures, and asking, okay, well, is this the right clothes for the 30s? Did your dad wear this in the 60s? And is this the right, setting, which I was very impressed with, because a lot of people wouldn't catch that you have to be true and authentic to the age and the era of the book. But he was very good about that.
Hmm. Hmm. And how about printing? I mean, we've heard different times during the pandemic where, printing was kind of disrupted, and I'd heard that that affected children's books more even than, adult books. Did you have any issues on that?
I would say that it did, because I thought that the children's book would be out first, but the adult fiction book came out in nonfiction book came out in October, and then the children's book came out in February. So there was definitely some issues there. Plus, I also think that it takes longer when you're trying to mesh the writing with the illustration.
Sure, sure. That's understandable.
Mhm.
So what advice do you have for people that haven't written a children's book before and are thinking about it?
I would say, and I actually did do this a little bit, but I want to do it more the next time I write a children's book, which I will, which this will be actually, this is the first of a series, but I would read children's books. I mean, I would just immerse myself in them, because they have a certain rhythm and a certain life to them. And you want to be able to capture that. So I would definitely tell them to do that first.
That makes sense. Sure.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you have plans for lots of books. Is there anything you can talk about
Yeah, I
specifically or?
definitely want to do um, a lot of books for the Girl Daddy series, which is what I'm going to call the children's book. It's the Girl Daddy series. So Thank You, Daddy is the first in that one. And so the next one will probably be um, a fishing book. Thank You, Daddy. I love to fish, because my dad, that was his favorite, besides preaching, that was his favorite thing. But his favorite thing to do for rest and relaxation was to fish. So there's a lot of cute and interesting fishing stories. So we're going to try and put that into a children's book, and then some other things, dad takes me shopping, or dad does this. Because the idea is that, there are fun things that happen even in the mundane things, the daily things, and it's in the day to day that love is shown. And there's nothing special that you have to do. You just have to be yourself and love your child, and that's it.
I know when, my daughters were young, I mean, one of the things that still sticks in my mind was like raking leaves and playing in the leaves.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
just a simple
exactly.
thing like that that, I still remember to this day as being, so much fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure they feel the same, because it's the fact that you are with the person you love the most on earth.
And having fun.
That is
Yeah.
what makes it, special.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What about on the adult side? What do you have any books planned that you can talk about or?
Yes, on the adult side, I have a sequel to Scarred Like Him, which I'm going to call God is Amazing, What Happens When You Go All In. And that's going to basically be a little bit about the journey that I've taken since Scarred Like Him came out, in being basically without a home, but the lessons that I've learned that God has taught me through this journey, and the people I've met, and the places that I've been, and just the faithfulness of God, even in the hard places, in the wilderness.
So, in the introduction, I mentioned that you also do music therapy too.
Mhm.
Um, Now, did that get impacted by the pandemic? And is that coming back in terms of live events or how does that look?
It's it's a little different. Sometimes you can do it virtually. So I've done some conferences and things like that virtually. Um, I have been able to do a few things since the pandemic. One of the programs we have here in LA County is called the Rainbow Program, where we honor victims who died in car crashes or street racing.
Hmm.
So I actually was able to do a ceremony for a family who lost their loved ones,
Hmm.
basically doing music on the street corner where they died. And they
Wow.
have like a little rainbow I guess you could say like a statue or a pole that they put up in honor of them.
Hmm.
So it was very powerful to offer them comfort in that way, and to be there for them and to
Hmm.
just be a presence in their lives at that time.
Sure, sure. That's
Yeah.
important, important work.
Mhm.
So, Denise, again, congratulations on, all the work that you've accomplished, your healing ministry, your children's book, your adult books. The name of the new book again is Thank You Daddy, a tribute to my girl dad and girl daddies everywhere. And you can learn more at denisegoosby.com. So Denise, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your work.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.